Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. You want tech and tacos, tacos and tech, you know we got it, eh? Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. You want tech and tacos, tacos and tech, you know we got it, eh?
Hello, hello, everyone. Fred and Neil back at it with you all. Hey, Fred, how you doing?
Hey Neil, I lost my voice, but other than that, I'm pretty good.
You must been out at it like everyone has been, either at the conferences or getting this sickness that's going around. I hope not the latter.
Yeah, nonetheless, we're here bringing the San Diego tech news to everybody and glad to be back.
Yeah, likewise. Fred and I do this, try to do it on a weekly cadence here. Both of us have our own substacks where maybe many of you follow this from. Fred's got the Business of San Diego substack where he writes about the latest news that's happening here in the tech ecosystem, biotech, real estate, and tech and capital. And I've got Rising Tide Partner substack where I'm writing about signals through the noise that I'm seeing. What's worth checking out what tech is coming up, how it's affecting others, and what companies are making a dent in this world. So thanks again for tuning in. We love to put a hyper focus on our own community since we are out there every day spending time with the community on an hourly by hourly basis, whether at events, putting on our own, or just, moving from coffee to coffee. So we continue to share what we're seeing, and we'd love if you share all what you're seeing right back to us. Respond to our emails and tell us, hey, I'm seeing this hot news, or I'm seeing this trend. We want to know and want to share and amplify your guys' news as well too. Fred, should we dive right in?
Let's do it.
Well, we got some big funding news from a local fund, which is rare, and we love to share it. A local fund, Blueprint Equity, has raised a new Fund 3, and it's hot off the press. I think it was a exclusive they did with Wall Street Journal this week, but I know Fred's got the scoop here as well. Fred, you want to share more on this new fund?
Yeah, so Blueprint Equity is a La Jolla-based growth equity firm. They just announced a new fund, 333 million, which is massive, oversubscribed. And the Wall Street Journal reporter mentioned that she was a little skeptical when investors say, "Hey, we were oversubscribed," but she said multiple LPs she spoke with, said that they Blueprint had to turn away some capital. And I talked to Sheldon actually today, which was just before this podcast, and he said he was in the top 5% their fund um, across the U.S. And so they've been able to have of investing in, I believe, small and medium businesses across the U.S. And yeah, it's great. It's Bobby Ocampo and Sheldon Lewis who run that local office, and off to the races. This is our second big fund announced in 2 weeks. We had Social Leverage last week, where they raised 85 million, Fund Five. Now we have Blueprint with another massive fundraise. So a hot start to 2026 in terms of dry capital and private investing.
It is awesome to see, just in January alone. And we are going to highlight this at our event next week on the state of venture at the 2026 VC Outlook, our annual, come together and learn what's happening from the venture capital community in San Diego. So if you're a venture-backed founder, let us know. Love to have you there. We won't have the Blueprint team. I know we'll have the Social Leverage team, which is awesome. So great to be highlighting that. Congrats to Sheldon and Bobby. There's some history here, actually. I'd love to share a little bit of background here. Bobby and Sheldon worked together in their first jobs out of college, I believe. I believe that's how they met. And then they went their own pathways. I think Bobby went into venture capital right away from there, or private equity, then venture capital. Most recently, before this, at Revolution Ventures, which is most people have heard of this because it's the Anything But the Coasts venture fund by Steve Case of AOL. And Sheldon had his own pathway of getting into SaaS. But along the way, he started his own little angel syndicate. So he was working at a high-flying, fast-growing SaaS company while also investing in local SaaS. I know a number of people who got some investments from Sheldon, and then he was one of the first that we called when we started up Interlock Capital, just to be like, hey, what are some of the tips and tricks that you recommend in launching a syndicate? And that was right around the time that he was launching Blueprint, Fund One, like 2020, I think. What's cool about Bobby and Sheldon teaming up together on this is that they're kind of an atypical fund. They call themselves growth equity, but they're really been looking for under the radar SaaS companies that haven't taken a ton of money, but have somehow found their own, bootstrap growth pattern. And that was hard to find in 2019 through 2023. But now it's actually pretty hot to go bootstrap your way to single digit million, which means they were ahead of that trend, right? Like they saw that I don't know if they saw that this is what generative AI was going to do was branch off the native AI software companies, but I believe there's a much bigger pool now of SaaS, bootstrap SaaS for them to invest in. So, win in their sales and awesome to see that obviously their LPs have find conviction to, amp up what they're doing. So congrats to the group. I can't wait to read Fred's article about it to get the deeper dive here. Uh, why don't we jump over to an award that was issued this week to CSATs, a hard tech company here doing autonomous boats and ships, San Diego based. Believe they've got pretty much every like research institute like Scripps, oceanography, to the military, like Navy and Coast Guard, all as customers. And they were recently awarded by the Department of War. Fred, you got more on this one?
Yeah, there's an article published on the 16th, and it was announced that an autonomous vessel maker, CSATs, has won a $24 million grant from the DoD. And this is like the second grant funding that CSATs has got in the last 6 months. We talked on the podcast how CSATs has also received, I believe it was 85 million from the U.S. Navy. This has definitely been something we've been paying attention to locally. Is defense tech companies are thriving because big military are now tapping startups to move faster and develop autonomous drones and submarines. And CSATs is obviously the leader, one of the emerging leaders in autonomous drones, sea surface vehicles. And it seems like we've been talking about them a lot. It's great to see them continue to get some more funding. And if you're looking to get in the defense tech space, I'd say either CSATs or Firestorm, Nautilus, and others are also, finding success right now and are on a tear, frankly.
Yeah, and what we've been talking about is that, autonomous in air had a 10-year head start in San Diego, right? And maybe even a 20-year head start from General Atomics with the Predator and Northrop Grumman with their giant drones. Then Shield AI ushered in a whole new era of kind of the software for drones. And then we even had the anti-drone companies here between SkySafe and uh, forgetting the other name of the company. Dan Magee's company. Sorry. I know he's a listener. Sorry, Dan. And now you're seeing obviously like drone for everything. And so it's in every domain, every dimension now. Water, underwater, land, and space are kind of the missing areas. And it really feels, Fred and I, it's time to talk about Drone City, USA, because this San Diego is it. We've got some merch actually we've been playing around with that will launch soon for Drone City, USA. And CSATs is one of the water leaders building autonomous systems here. And you can see one, the customer base is massive here in terms of water-based autonomy, right? So much so that another big drone chip maker, Saronic, out of Austin, opened a large center here for their customer success place, pretty much where they're rolling out their products and training the Navy on, medium-sized ships. All that is just shows the proof point and the density of talent and customer base here. So, um, Yeah, it's great to see CSAT doing that. They're also one, or Fred, go ahead. I think you got a comment here.
No, I think you covered it.
Oh,
You
okay.
covered it well.
I was just going to mention the award size. I think there's a lot to be said. We talk about grants, if you will, SBIRs, and you're starting to see our companies in San Diego who have customers get these much larger grants that are not, technology transfer SBIR level one kind of awards. They're skipping straight to SBR 3, which is this fast pass to pretty much customer adoption, saying, we need a fleet, not just, hey, go prove out the technology. That's a really good sign, right? Because for hard tech, it is hard to get funding. It takes such a long cycle to get a customer. So finding this SBIR level 3 fast pass to actually fund um, building full manufacturing lines. It's a really good sign to be seeing that. You saw the same Firestorm got one of those too, $100 million, I think, grant directly from the Air Force in that same vein as well too. So, like Fred said, we're going to keep our eye on these. We'll keep sharing what's winning and what trends we're seeing here.
Another thing I'll add to that is I think, it allows companies to not give out equity. This is non-dilutive funding. And yeah, it's great. It's great to see that this is, a good business model for early stage startup.
Totally. But and it's a business model in a way that's actually like getting them to customer, whereas there's a lot of SBRs that are just kind of like distractions down the road. So all good signs here. Let's talk about another product launch we that came upon our radar here. Friend of the pod, company we talk about a lot here, Trust and Will just launched a brand new product for attorneys. It's kind of it's it's big news in a certain regard because Trust and Will has built an estate planning platform in a sense that seemingly like kind of went around attorneys for the last 5 years or used internal attorneys to help you so that you didn't need to just go the traditional like paper estate plan route. And so, it's been so them launching a full-on product suite that helps estate attorneys use their platform to streamline people have a full estate plan is a full circle moment and also kind of shows that they're at that enterprise level where the person you're trying to disrupt ends up being your customer. Pretty typical pathway here. What do you got on this, Fred?
Yeah, I think at some point we need to look at the center of companies who have been, really leaning into AI and introducing new products. I love that Trust and Will is staying innovative on the technology side as well as the marketing side. I did see that we talked about how they sponsored the Holiday Bowl in San Diego a few months ago, last month, and then I see Cody promoting something for a Super Bowl this year, and it's great to see them innovating in AI. But let's do a wrap up at some point, Neil, and look at what senior companies have been paving the way. I remember Cloudbeds introduced something like that. I believe maybe Flock Freight or one of the other unicorn tech companies have also been very, advocating that, we're introducing new products in AI, and the B2B SaaS space is definitely leaning into that space more.
Yeah, I actually talked about it on a podcast. When did I talk about it? Within the last week, I talked about, oh no, maybe it was with you on the last one this week in San Diego, how we didn't see as many like native AI San Diego fundings. A lot of our legacy companies, are trying to catch up into the AI native AI space, right? They're like, hey, we were SaaS, now we're AI. Yeah, let's do more of those wrap ups and roundups of that. Like ClickUp definitely has got a full native AI product. Who is trying to catch up, but who is also building brand new products for brand new customers there. It's a really good sign. One more shout out on Trust and Will. Um, their big brand ambassador, Matt Stafford, who him and his wife together are brand ambassadors of Trust and Will, are going to Super Bowl, which is probably why Cody's there throwing a Super Bowl party because they got Team Stafford, who I wonder if he'll sneak in a Trust and Will shout out at the Super Bowl. We'll see. But pretty cool to see them on the big stage there for sure. Last but not least, we got some great fun news for our company in North County, Empower, hiring a whole new slew of staff that really coincides with them uh, launching literally into space and catching quite a wave of what is power-based space systems. Fred, I think you have a little more of a scoop here. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, so Empower, if you look them up, they say they're Albuquerque, Mexico based, but they're actually basing right here in Carlsbad. They're working on satellites and they're in the aerospace industry. And the guy I spoke to, it just joined as a COO. His name is James Heller, and he's from Rapify, which is another local startup, I think, advertising company. And then they hired a new CFO who came from another local company, Totem Labs. And he said, hey, watch out for us. Empower Technologies is going to be a unicorn company in this aerospace. And so it's great news to see that a local company is making hires from top talent to help build out manufacturing operations. And this is a company to watch.
100%. Yeah, Kevin Hell, the CEO, is actually a bit of a local legend on the entrepreneurial community here in San Diego. He's been around for a bit. He helped heavily at Evo Nexus for a while, which is where we crossed paths first. But he came into the CEO role at Empower maybe 3 years ago. Does that sound right? And Empower really was a play on new solar cells within the space based systems. So they're designing new ways to obtain energy, which obviously benefits satellites as a obvious choice. But what's really interesting in the last 6 months, and I'm sure what that, if we knew that in 6 months, it's been going for about a year plus, is that all the hyperscalers, the Mag 7, anyone who's doing data centers are moving data centers to space, literally, because that's the best way to cool it from an energy standpoint and power it because you have direct solar energy pretty much always on and don't have to worry about it at night. And so here you've got this AI wave that I don't think anyone was expecting to hit space. You literally have Starlink, 9,000 satellites in space, and Elon has announced all future Starlinks are going to be data centers in space because we're already set up to beam it and power it. And then you have the same with Google and I believe NVIDIA. So if they're doing space-based data centers, you know more are thinking about that as well too. So pretty cool to see. They happen to be in Carlsbad, down the street from another big satellite maker, Viasat. So there's some space density there as well up in North County. So pretty cool to see. Congrats to the Empower team. I think we're gonna do an event there within the next 3 to 6 months. I was talking to James about that. Oh, and of course, shout out to our friend James Heller, longtime friend of the pod. I know he listens. He also comes out and hikes on the Founders Hike. Founder of Rapify, founded a good home, and said, I want to go keep building. And so it's great to see him leading. And he actually has data center experience. Before Rapify, he was in the data center space. So cool to see him come back a full circle around there. Uh, we've kind of already mentioned a few events coming up, but as always, there's lots to do. Always look at the Social Coyote for Jonah's curated list of events that are coming up. Eventship has pretty much all events that are happening in San Diego. Man, I keep looking and the list keeps getting longer of like new series coming to Eventship. Love to see that. Some events coming up that we've got on our radar. We mentioned the 2026 VC Outlook third annual next week. VCs and kind of Series A and earlier, venture backed already founders is kind of who we're curing that around. And we have some VCs coming in from Santa Barbara, Ian Hathaway, who's a good buddy and is leading pre-seed deals. We've also got a family office on the panel who does direct deals and invest in funds, who's kind of give their state of funding funds, right? Which is super important for founders to understand that side of the table. And that same day is actually the Farmers Open, which is in its last year in San Diego. A legend of an event. Fred, thanks for bringing me out there. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Looking
And
forward to that.
yeah, and there'll be a lot of local tech events happening. It looks like a bunch of people in the tech community will be at different events happening throughout the weekend, which will be fun to kind of see us all around the golf course. One of the biggest Navy and military conferences is coming up. AFCEA West. It's a chance where pretty much the whole military tech scene descends on San Diego. I know that Harpoon and Saab and others are throwing events on the side throughout the week, which is great. We've been talking about that, right? Like bring the national community in to our local community and vice versa. So if you are in the defense tech world, look for February 10th through 12th FCO West events that are going on. And then later that week, a bunch of us are picking up and going to Austin for TechCon Austin, which will be the VC and founder community descending on Austin. It's their first time in Austin, which is pretty cool. And I'm looking forward to doing it. I'm going to do a little happy hour with local founders that we've got in our portfolio and LPs and GPs in the local community too. That's what's on our radar. If there's more on yours, like we said, shoot us a note. Reply to the newsletters that come out of our Substacks. DM us on LinkedIn. You can't DM me on Twitter. I still don't have access to my Twitter account. I don't feel like I'm missing much, but you know where to find us. And Fred, thanks as always. And
Always a pleasure, Neil.
likewise. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon. Cheers.
Tacos and tech is on smash. For the green guacamole. Keep accountants counting beans. Contador cuentan frijoles. Founders trying to raise some queso. La vida San Diego. School of rapping fire. Tortillas round jalapenos. In these modern times of craft beer and coffee. My coding yoga posse. Fold the body. Origami. We be surfing Coronado. Eating tacos el gordo. The taco stand in puesto. Lucha libre and sombrero. Gotta shout out Tecos Daniels by the ocean. Watch the sunset. La Jolla Shores. Entrepreneurs trying to get funded. When San Diego Startup Week is popping in the summer. Oceanside to Tijuana. SD be full of hustlers. From couch surfing to penthouses right on the beach. Tech leaders who believe stars are within reach. We interviewing founders who be shooting for the moon. Hashtag SD Tecos with your host Neil Bloom. Come on. Startups get the party. Startups get the party started. Startups get the party. Startups get the party started. Startups get the party. Startups get the party started. You want tech and tacos, tacos and tech. You know we got it.